people, those who seek to serve. Grant them wisdom and knowledge of your holy will. Kindle in all of us the grace to disagree without disrespect as we work for the well-being of our Commonwealth and our country. Even as we ask for these gifts from you, Lord, we acknowledge that we can be a stiff-necked and hypocritical people, and so easily get into fear and hatred and blame and division. And we ask for your forgiveness. Through your grace and wisdom, O God, mold us into people. We pray in the spirit of St. Francis that you make us instruments of your peace. May we be servants of your holy will, always and ever mindful that you bless us in order that we might be a blessing to others. May it be so through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Got to tell you,
That was a very awesome invocation.
well done invocation.
Yes.
Recognize two distinguished guests here on the platform. For the Republicans, back in 1984, when Senator McConnell started coming to the picnic, there were about 3 Republicans here. About 3, right over here. Now, under the pavilion, has more than its fair share of Republicans. And know that it was Senator McConnell who spearheaded that effort. Leader McConnell, welcome back to Fancy Farm. It's good to see you.
I expect that Leader McConnell is going to have a little bit of probably a little bit of hit during his speech. He'll probably bring up his recent episode and things. I just kind of hear it from.
We'll see.
Disasters in our community. I can see you too, sir. Bring a good crowd of supporters with you. Governor Beshear, welcome back to Fancy Farm. It's good to see you.
It's strange that not very many of the Democrats stood up for Governor Beshear.
No, they did not.
All the Republicans stood up for Mr. McConnell on stage.
One of the largest Fancy Farm gatherings ever. I always want to remind you that this is a fundraiser for our local parish. Be sure to try some good barbecue, drink an ice cold Sundrop, play some bingo, and try for a chance out there with that brand new Jeep.
I played some ring toss a while ago,
And
we had some great food earlier.
How'd you do?
A couple of my special
I
guests are on the
lost, so.
stage from my agriculture leadership class. I have Jack Allison, Katie Cecil, and Ben Carrs back here. Thank you guys for coming. This year's singing of our national anthem will be Teresa Tu Jefford. She is a local Fancy Farm musician and vocalist. She has been performing in Charlotte, North Carolina over the last 15 years. Currently, she sings with Teresa and Dave. She's proud to be part of this year's celebration. Teresa.
I've got it.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home
It was a great rendition.
Thank you. The next artist.
Okay, I think she had a blast and she nailed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the Paducah Middle School, the assistant choir director for Paducah Tillman High School, as well as the director of Paducah Youth Symphony. She attended church at the
This
St. Francis
should be
de Sales
the
with her three amazing
singing
children.
of My Old Kentucky Home.
Samantha,
That's
will you
right.
please come forward and sing My Old Kentucky Home.
My old Kentucky home.
The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the people are gay. The corn tops ripe and the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks roll on the little cabin floor, all happy, all merry and bright. By and by, hard times come a-knocking at the door. Then my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady. Oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home, far away.
That was awesome as well.
Very good. Yeah, she did it. She nailed it.
Okay, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful artist. All right, I want to recognize our
Oh, yeah, we're live.
timekeeper, Drake Williams. He's right down here in front. He's going to hold up the signs of 1 minute, 30 seconds, and time's up. And
Yeah.
If one goes over, this is what you'll hear.
As we said earlier.
That is not our music.
All right. As chairman, I do implore you to engage in this political process, as Father said, with respect, grace, and commitment to finding our common ground. Our state is at its best when we rally together. We recognize our strength lies in our diversity, and we come together to overcome the adversities that lay before us.
Might have been a
Now
problem.
with that, let me introduce to you this year's MC. Our MC this year is no stranger to Fancy Farm. He grew up just down the road in Lyon County. Mr. David Beck began his tenure as president and CEO of Kentucky Venues on July 1st, 2018. Mr. Beck earned a Bachelor of Science degree in agriculture from Murray State University. In 2016, he was named Distinguished Alumnus by the Murray State University Agriculture Alumni. In 2017, the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education presented David with the Oak Award on behalf of Kentucky colleges and universities. Prior to his role at Kentucky Venues, David worked at Kentucky Farm Bureau for 41 years. In 2001, David was honored as the Distinguished Rural Kentuckian at Kentucky Cooperative's 75th annual meeting. The award is the highest honor bestowed by Kentucky's electric cooperatives. For 40 plus years, David has enjoyed a front row seat on the discussions of every major state and federal issue affecting agriculture in rural Kentucky. David continues his interest in public policy to enhance rural-urban understanding and cooperation for an enhanced Commonwealth. At this time, with the MC of our 143rd annual St. Jerome Fancy Farm Picnic, Please come and get your love, Mr. David Beck.
Again, the music you're hearing is not an endorsement from Mead Truth. We do not have rights to this. We don't do anything that promotes this, and we're not trying to profit from
And it's
this.
not
This
played
is
through our system.
it's just a background music, folks.
Thank you, Stephen. Good afternoon, Fancy Farm. Welcome each and every one of you. It's great to see this crowd here today and see this tradition continue on. You know, this is the 143rd Fancy Farm Picnic. And I got to tell you, when Stephen called me back in the early spring and asked me if I would consider being the MC, it wasn't on my radar. I was totally surprised by the call. It took me a few days to think about it, to get back with him. But I want to get back with him and tell him that growing up in Western Kentucky, having the opportunity to attend many Fancy Farm picnics, I've not missed many. I consider it very honored to be a part of this historical political event. In fact, been here so many times, I didn't need a GPS or a map to show me how to get here. In fact, my bride behind me over here, 46 years, we came to this when we were in high school. She actually sang on stage during the opening ceremonies. So we've had a long history of making the trip to Fancy Farm, and it really means a lot to us to be here today. I want to thank Stephen and Mark and all Wilson, all the group that's been involved down through the years to make this happen. You know, this is a really special event, and I just want to share it with you from my standpoint. I recognize how important it is. It's a huge opportunity. You look at this community with about 450 people by this, you never know what impact it may have on a young person that set their goals to sometimes take their turn at public service. So it's really important. I want to take a minute, though, just to pause and reflect back on the prayer a while ago. Being from this part of the state, as others from out the state, I recognize what Graves County has been through the last 24 months. What can you imagine that? I know I appreciate the media, what they did with the photos and the videos and all the news coverage.
They remember the
Story
tornado.
in the rest of the Commonwealth,
And then they had
but also around the country.
flooding.
The devastation you went through with the tornado in Mayfield and surrounding counties. It's hard to imagine. When I first visited a few days after that tornado, I actually called my wife, Nancy, to say, Nancy, I know we've seen the coverage. I know our church is sending money and we're doing what we can to support our friends and neighbors in West Kentucky. But the videos, the photos don't do it justice. You got to stand there on the courthouse square and see what used to be there and see that devastation. And as we rode around yesterday seeing the continuing recovery, it's just amazing what this community goes for. And I say that to tell you, to see the Commonwealth to come together and to see you as neighbors and loved ones, all the state to come together to do what you can to recover stands a great example. And you will continue to be in our prayers, and you'll continue to have our financial support as we have the opportunity to do that and participate in that. And then floods. My goodness, I know in Kentucky we're going to have a flood or drought somewhere in the state every year. We just don't know where and how devastating it's going to be. And you've had your share of rain. We were needing rain when you got that big one. We just didn't need that much. And then what we went through last night. I was talking to one of our friends here today. One of the families close by here had just finished their new home. And that storm during the night, that those of you that came down early may experience, lightning struck that new home and burned it to the ground before they had a chance to move in.
Oh, my.
Just another example. We never know what's going on in someone else's life. So I just want to say, we think a lot of you. We want to help you. We want to be supportive. This picnic, minimum 10,000 people. Some people have estimated as high as 15,000 people. Been recognized by the worldwide Guinness World Book of Records as being the largest one-day picnic in North America. That's a lot to take credit for.
Ooh, that is. That's an interesting fact.
When you take about 20,000 pounds of barbecue, 1,400 pounds of chicken and hot dogs and hamburgers, 400 pounds of potato salad, and then all the desserts, all those pies and cakes are homemade by volunteers here in this community. A community of 450
Yep, we're getting
people
text,
giving
Kathy.
back.
Got it.
It's amazing. Stephen made reference that I'm with Kentucky Venues, and for those of you who may not be familiar with Kentucky Venues, It's the marketing name that we use for the Kentucky State Fair Board. We manage 2 properties in Louisville, Kentucky. The Kentucky International Convention Center downtown Louisville will host about 140 events a year, and the Kentucky Exposition Center, many of you know as the fairgrounds, will host about 200. Got to take a minute to brag on our staff. We recovered last year at 106% of where we were pre-COVID, and in 21, 73% of where we were pre-COVID. When you have almost 4 million people coming through your doors on an annual basis and filling up 69% of the hotel rooms in our region, we have a little bit of idea of what it takes to feed 10,000 people. What that group of volunteers do here in this community to support the school, the church, and other worthy causes is just short of being amazing. Let's show these volunteers again our appreciation for all that they do. It is a true example of leadership and volunteerism. In today's society, we need to cultivate that. We need true leadership in our homes. We need our churches.
Yes, sir.
We need it at all levels of government. We need it in organizations, and we need it in our communities. So it's a tremendous example that all of us can look to for information and inspiration as we want to move forward. My goal today is in the MC is to be fair and be friendly with everybody, but be firm on the rules and try to maintain order the best that any one human being can do with a crowd like this that's very passionate about what you're interested in. You know, I want to see this tradition continue on. I really do. Not just the picnic, but the political side of it too. As Kentuckians, we like to meet those that want to represent us in Frankfort and in Washington. We want to look them in the eye. We want to shake their hand. We want to evaluate their priorities, their vision, their priorities of what they want to do. We want to evaluate all of that and compare it to ours so we can make a good decision. And coming together like that today and being a part of this process allows that to continue on. And hopefully other communities will continue to do that. I realize with all the media, we're at a day and time where media drives the force and social media and all that's important, and it is. But in Kentucky, we still like to meet them and shake their hands, and that's important. We recognized them a while ago, but I want to recognize them again, and that's the Kentucky State Police. We hear a lot about that thin gray line, but these men and women, they work day and night to keep all of us safe the best they can in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And we see that firsthand. And they're celebrating their 75th anniversary this year. And for our Capitol Police are here today, and those out of Frankfort, and those that have served the courthouse, local sheriff offices, and local police departments, thank you for being here today. That's important. Every day when these men and women put that badge on, they put that uniform on, whether it be a day or night, and they take their shift, they're putting a lot at risk. And also we want to thank their families for that sacrifice. You know, this is a church picnic. It's a fundraiser. And I want to encourage you today to get your billfolds out, your wallets out. Buy plenty of barbecue and beverages for while you're here today, but buy some extra to take home with you. Stop over here and buy a t-shirt, buy some more souvenirs, play some bingo. And don't forget to purchase a chance for that vehicle. I understand it's a Jeep again this year. My good friend Ray Newton from Elizabethtown came to his first fancy farm in 2018. Got here on the property, bought a $5 ticket. Guess what happened? He drove home a brand new Jeep. And you can too, but you got to buy a ticket. You got to do it. So let's support this group and keep it going. Ever since Steve invited me to be the MC today, I've had a lot of people ask me, are you going to tell any jokes? And I've had a lot of people offer something I'd love to tell today. But there's a man that I really respect. I've heard him say many times, I never got in trouble for something I didn't say. And I've tried to navigate that as I work with elected leaders all across the Commonwealth and do that. You know, They asked me, do you know any political jokes? Well, I've met a few along the way.
Gotta appreciate
But
that.
you know the
Nice
political
commentary.
jokes? If we as voters aren't informed, sometimes they get elected. So we've got a responsibility to that. And there's a lot of discussion now about artificial intelligence, AI. You can't pick up any publication or online without someone referencing AI. I made a presentation a few weeks ago to the leadership group, and doing the Q&A, they were asking me, what impact has AI had on agriculture? What impact has AI had on tourism? So I was given a little bit of idea about that, how it's affected our industries. And one of the follow-up questions was, how long has it been around? Before I could stop myself, I said, since we've had elections. I was attending a regulation review committee in Frankfurt a few years back. We had a regulation up, and at the conclusion of the meeting out in the hallway, one of the members came up to me. He said, David, have you heard what my opponent is saying about me? Well, quite frankly, I hadn't. And he was serious, and I thought he was teasing. I said, no, I've not really heard. And he said this. He said, if he doesn't quit lying on me, I'm going to start telling the truth on him. And all I could do was laugh, but he was serious. I didn't mean to offend him. I was over in Owensboro a few months ago, and over the years, I've had a chance to work with many people in Davis County, different levels of government. And I was at the Moonlight having dinner, and a gentleman walked over I worked with over the years, and he's an elected official, and we exchanged greetings. And as he got ready to walk away, I said, wait a minute, I want to ask you something. You have any opposition this year? He stopped me and said, David, you got to understand, I'm an elected official. I always have opposition. But this year, I don't have an opponent. And there's a big difference in that, and we understand that. I really appreciate those sitting behind me today for being here, to helping this tradition continue on. It's important, and I appreciate them being here today and participating in this annual process. I want to ask those behind me, if they're seeking office, if they're on the ballot in this year, if they would stand. I'd ask you to join me in showing our appreciation for those here today.
Daniel. Hear him crowd in the background. I tell you, a straight ticket would be a beautiful thing this election.
You can be seated now, and I hope you got a good look at them, because in a few minutes, when their opponent gets done talking about them, you may not recognize any of them. No, I do sincerely appreciate them being here. When you decide to put your name on the ballot, and you put yourself and many times your family in front of the public and on the media for scrutiny, that's a big decision to make. And we appreciate those people participating in the process, providing those opportunities as citizens of the Commonwealth to be able to make decisions and have a choice on Election Day. Well, you didn't come here today to listen to me. I recognize that.
All right. I think we're getting ready to get rolling.
My job is to serve as MC and, again, try to maintain some order and be able to introduce our speakers today.
Master of ceremonies.
But I want to go through the rules again just for a moment so we all know the rules of the process and what our expectations are today.
The rules
In a
of the
few
game.
months, we're going to have a coin toss on each of those that have a race this fall with an opponent. We're going to flip a coin. And I brought my 1881 silver dollar with me. Couldn't get the 80, but I brought the 81 with me to be able to flip the coin as the tradition of this event. Already made reference to, we've got a timekeeper down front. They'll give us a 1-minute warning, and they'll give a 30-second warning to signify that time's up. You've already heard the music. You know what happens after that last 30 seconds. Now, each of the speakers that'll be speaking have been given a time limit. Some have 2 minutes, some have 3 minutes, some have 4, some have 5, and some have 6 minutes. And that was predetermined by the committee, and the candidates have already had that communicated to them today, so they understand that. Now remember, this is a church picnic, so no cussing or foul language will be tolerated. No noisemakers will be permitted in the audience. And we ask the audience to be respectful so we can hear what each candidate has to say. It's not guaranteed, but the freedom to speak also allows the opportunity to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we'll go ahead and get started with some introductions of people. And we're going to start with some elected officials that I want to introduce first for some comments. The first speaker, representing the 2nd House District, is State Representative Richard Heath. Richard serves as chairman of the House Agriculture Committee. He also serves on several other committees in Frankfurt.
And remember, Richard's been a good friend to the Mead Truth
and we go back to days we served in FFA
Conversation
together.
podcast.
Please join me in welcome Richard Heath to the podium.
We really appreciate Richard and all he's done for us.
It was a tough run for the Secretary of Agriculture, but we're glad to have facilitated some of that.
County. It's an honor to welcome you here to this year's Fancy Farm Picnic. I want to continue to thank Father Venters, St. Jerome Parish, the Fancy Farm Picnic Committee, and I think you've outdone yourself again this year. Also don't want to recognize my colleagues here that have made their way to Western Kentucky. Most of them are sitting over here. The Republican majority has been in charge since 2017, and the
Listen to them. The cackles, let them be heard.
And the results have put our state on the trajectory that it's on today. We passed bills aimed at eliminating the state income tax, modernizing tax code, reforming unemployment insurance and workers' comp, supporting law enforcement, building our workforce, and making our schools safer. We made historic progress in protecting the safety of human life.
Safer?
Yeah.
Parents' rights, our children's rights, as well as preventing biological males from competing in girls' sports. Sorry, boys, pack your bags and leave the field. We've invested $320 million in broadband, $500 million in upgrading aging water infrastructure, and almost $20 billion in our public pensions.
You heard it here first on Mead Truth.
The working Kentuckians will keep an estimated $625 million in their money just this year alone. Our credit rating has increased. We are better prepared for whatever comes our way, and opportunity is beginning to spread across the state. Of course, there's more work to be done, and we need to elect a group of individuals here and send to Frankfurt that will work with everyone to get that job done. God bless you. God bless Kentucky. God bless the USA.
Wow. You know what I mean? I don't know how you could boo that for schools and the work they did, and yet you've got the entire student teachers union back here booing that. They made schools safer, and they're booing that.
Yeah. And all they've done is try.
Okay, our next speaker.
The Republican majority, since they've been there, has been fully funding
will be Senator Jason Howell.
Pensions.
Senator, he represents the 1st Senatorial District, represents 7 counties in this extreme western part of the state, including my home county of Lyon. He's an attorney. I've known the senator and his family for several years. He also chairs the Senate Agriculture Committee and been involved with many others in Frankfurt. Please welcome to the podium Senator Jason Howell for some remarks.
There we go. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. As David said, my name is Jason Howell. Now that Richard's gotten your attention, I would like to welcome everybody to the heart of my 1st Senate District for the 143rd Fancy Farm Picnic. To the Republicans out here, good to see you. Welcome back. To the Democrats out here, welcome to West Kentucky. Now, I think that most of y'all are from out of state, so I want to help you out a little bit. I know you guys get squeamish when you start talking about eating meat, but let me tell you, I strongly encourage you to try the mutton. It'll change your life. To the Republicans up here on stage, welcome back. It's good to see y'all. Always great to have y'all down in my district. To the Democrats you know, you can tell it's an election year when there's people on this side of the stage. But I want to tell you, we'll be happy to have y'all back in 4 years. In all seriousness, we're glad to have everybody down here. I'm proud to represent Grace County and the entire 1st Senate District. I appreciate the chance to show the greatest part of our great Commonwealth. I hope that everybody here today has fun listening to the speeches. Please be respectful. Well, as respectful as possible. And remember, a lot of us have our kids out here with us. Now let's enjoy the greatest tradition in Kentucky politics. Let's bring on the speeches. Thank y'all for being here.
Clearly a nice intro for the Republican Party and a great representative for his district.
Absolutely.
As a state senator.
Between Richard and
well, for those that drove down and may not be that familiar with farm country,
really
got to say this while these two gentlemen just spoke.
Absolutely, I agree.
It's not by accident that those representing Graves County are chair of the Senate Ag committees. 6% of the agricultural sales in the Commonwealth of Kentucky come from Graves County, Kentucky.
Wow. Significant contribution.
100 farms. And we appreciate what, though, huge impact on our economy and agribusiness. And they work closely with the chambers and the urban folks. It's rural urban coming together about that.
The best part's
Also,
coming.
we have several members that aren't speaking today from the Kentucky General Assembly here. I see some senators and House members. Speaker Osmond, would y'all stand and be recognized? Our majority report in the House.
Notice they're all on the Republican side. I've got a couple on the Democratic side.
I want to thank the members of the General Assembly for their support of the Kentucky State Fair Board and resources made available for us to make some enhancements, improvements, continue to grow and serve the Commonwealth. Thank you for what you did in providing that type of support and appropriations for us to utilize that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we're ready to hear from the candidates for governor.
what everybody's here to hear. Going to have the coin flip.
And I would ask that Governor Beshear come forward and Attorney General Cameron come forward, and we'll do our coin flip.
All right,
There's two people that have been in court suing one another back and forth over and over again.
And now, the Fancy Farm comes down to a coin flip.
Now it does.
There it is.
I don't think it can make it any fairer than an old-fashioned coin flip. You know.
When we flip the coin, the winner will be able to decide whether they go first or go last. It will be their choice.
I think you'd have a speech for before or second.
Heads, your choice.
He wants to go first. All right. Let's go, Daniel. I like it. That's what you call leading from the front.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Daniel's mom is fired up.
Sit down. We get started.
We just did.
Attorney General Cameron won the towing costs, and he'll chose to go first. Served as our Attorney General. Grew up in Hardin County. Got his undergraduate
Hardin County, I think is where he grew up. Not Hardin County.
And now that serving as our Kentucky General Assembly, he and his wife Mackenzie have one son. Please welcome the podium our Attorney General, Kansas Governor, Daniel Cameron.
I mean, wow. Listen to that crowd. Holy cow. My Apple Watch just told me the decibels are too far.
This man is an absolute warrior for Kentucky values. Governor, it's good to see you here, but I know you feel kind of out of place here at a Catholic picnic. I know you feel more at home spending time with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. This governor meets with anti-Christian hate groups more than he meets with the General Assembly. Am I right, Jason? They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and there it is. But when it comes to that photo, 3 words will do the job. Andy, you're fired. Now, one thing I've learned about Andy Beshear, there's a TV Andy, and then there's a Frankfurt Andy. TV Andy lies about his record on jobs, crime, and teachers. TV Andy wants you to believe he's never heard of Joe Biden. But when the cameras aren't rolling and he thinks you aren't watching, that's when Frankfurt Andy, the real Andy Beshear, rears his head. He vetoes tax cuts. He fights for the Biden agenda. He demands that boys play in girls' sports. He protects transgender surgeries for kids. I've been watching Frankfurt Andy up close for nearly 4 years, and I have just one question. Governor, are you auditioning for a job with Bud Light's marketing team? This governor has more than a Hunter Biden tax return. But here's the truth. His record is one of failure, and it flies in the face of true Kentucky values. Andy Beshear locked the schools and threw open the jails. He sent the state police after Christians on Easter Sunday. He closed down Main Street and bent over backwards for Wall Street. There are fewer people working today than when Andy Beshear took office, and that's a fact. But folks, it doesn't have to be that way. We can recover for our children what Andy Beshear took from them. We can restore law and order. We can build a future that's based on true Kentucky values instead of the Beshear-Biden radical ideology. Governor, I know you guys are obsessed with pronouns these days, but come November, yours are going to be has and been. Andy Beshear and Joe Biden are liberal elites that have a lot of rules for you, but none for themselves. The governor has the audacity to lecture rural Kentuckians on right and wrong when he and Joe Biden can't even tell the difference between a man and a woman. They mock our faith, our families, and our values, and they try to cancel anyone who disagrees. Well, the folks of Fancy Farm have one response, Governor. Try that in a small town. We need a governor who will stand up to the woke mob, not cheer them on. When the mob came to my front lawn to threaten me, I refused to back down. I will protect our children from gender ideology in the classroom and keep boys out of girls' sports. I will support our teachers and make sure they have the resources they need. I will make sure our schools are about reading, writing, and math, and they are incubators for liberal and progressive ideas. I will back the blue, and I will hold Joe Biden accountable for his war on Kentucky coal. This governor, he has failed to protect your rights and freedoms, and as Attorney General, I have taken him to court and won. But the ultimate judgment will come from we, the people. We, the people, say the evidence is overwhelming, and the verdict must be guilty as charged. My friends, by the grace of God, we are on the precipice of history. But we must cast aside the politicians of the past who scramble to appease the woke radicals of the present. Let's commit ourselves once again to upholding the dignity of work, to the family as the foundation of society, to respecting the rule of law and the principles of our founding fathers, and to once again be guided by the better angels of our nature.
Yes, sir.
With humility and abundant gratitude, I ask you to join us this November as we make history. Thank you, and may God continue to bless Kentucky. Thank you all.
That was well rehearsed.
Oh, wow. It was a great.
He came in with.
That was a very, very strong speech.
I gotta tell you.
He hit about 8 or 10 points there
and he
that are really resonating with the crowd.
He's coming up bleeding, man. I mean, he has cut into him deeply.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough to follow.
Now we're ready to hear from the governor. Governor Andy Beshear.
And now you're going to hear the same thing from both
You'll
sides.
sit down. We'll get started.
Here we go.
Now, I heard a lot of banging and clanking. They said no devices or sound noises.
Governor Andy Beshear
it sounded like there was some banging over on the
He's the 63rd
Democrat
governor of the Commonwealth of
side.
Kentucky, following serving as the Attorney General.
Tonight, I guess.
The son of Steve and Jane Beshear, our 61st governor. Got his undergraduate at Vanderbilt. Got his law degree, Virginia School of Law. He and his wife Brittany have 2 children. Governor, podium's yours.
I'm ready.
Buddy, you better be.
Thank you, St. Jerome, and thank you, Fancy Farm. It is great to be back in Western Kentucky, where my family is from, where Jamie Comer pretends to live, and where Daniel Cameron will show up for a political rally, but not for tornado survivors. Cameron is here, though, which is kind of surprising. He recently told Eric Dieters he'd go to his big rally and then backed out. He told Eric he really wanted to come. He really did, but he had other things to do. That's exactly what Ryan Quarles told Daniel Cameron. But hey, he has Robbie Mills. You know, if you took all the people on Daniel's LG list above Robbie Mills and you put them all in a room together, you'd have the biggest crowd of the Cameron campaign. Robbie certainly is an interesting choice. When I went to court and saved the pensions of every teacher and police officer, Robbie was mad. Robbie was big mad. Robbie said it was the most frustrated he'd ever been, which is exactly how Daniel felt when the best he got was Robbie Mills. And listen, I know you just heard from Daniel Cameron. It's not true.
Oh, he's
It's
definitely
all
going
lies.
after Robbie Mills
But if you're
because
willing
that's
to
his
lie about a grand
running
jury,
mate.
he's willing to
It
lie
doesn't
to
seem to be
you.
hitting the camera very much at all.
Listen, we all have fun at Fancy Farm. We throw out some zingers, but we should remember we're at a church picnic and at a place hit hard by tornadoes and recently flooding. This area has shown us how to be our best. Neighbors helping neighbors, because that's what we do in Kentucky. We take care of each other. People hauled out debris, volunteered their time, and donated even when budgets were tight. My faith teaches me that while weeping may linger in the evening, joy comes in the morning. That joy is record economic development right here in Western Kentucky. Billions of dollars invested in this area. Good paying jobs as Osmondson in Mayfield, Alstrom in Madisonville, Ascend in Hopkinsville, Holibus in Murray, Precision Sonar in Benton, Low Covering Solutions in Trigg, Novellus in Todd County, Crap Paper in Henderson, and so much more. These are the jobs that are changing the trajectory of families and communities. We've had more than $26 billion of new private sector investment in Kentucky. We have our lowest annual unemployment rate
instead they used
in
it for
history
programs to keep
and
people
more
from going
jobs
back to
than
work.
before the pandemic. We've also brought hundreds of millions of dollars to Western Kentucky to rebuild. We're rebuilding houses for families, supporting farmers and small businesses. And Father, we paid for the funeral of all 81 people we lost because we grieve together. Today at St. Jerome's, let's remember we're told not just to talk about our faith, but to actually live it out. I'm reminded of the golden rule, which is that we love our neighbor as ourselves. And the parable of the Good Samaritan says everyone is our neighbor. Here, you see a contrast. This race is the difference between vision and division. See, they're trying.
That's been the narrative of
They're
the
trying to
Democratic
pit us
Party
against
since
each
we've
other,
been going, is
calling
division.
everybody names who disagrees with them, telling you it's okay to yell at, even hate your fellow Kentuckians. I'm ready to prove that's a losing strategy in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. See, people here know there's no Democrat or Republican bridges, that a good job isn't red or blue, and the most important thing for a governor is getting the job done. We're getting the biggest projects done in our history. We're four-laning the Mountain Parkway, building the Brent Spence Bridge without tolls, and moving I-69 forward all at the same time. We brought $500 million in clean drinking water, the largest investment in the expansion of internet access. I've signed 627 bipartisan bills, 627. You know, folks, Grace County and Mayfield, they're known for their resilience. Mayor, they're also known for championship football. They know when you're on a historic winning streak, you don't fire the coach. You don't sub out the quarterback. You keep that team on the field and you rack up championships. In Kentucky, it is our time to win. We have a can't-miss opportunity, a chance to be the generations that change everything. Everything now is about building for the brighter future. We can turn these 3 great years of economic development into 30 years of prosperity. So let's get out there. Let's win for every single Kentuckian at every part of the Commonwealth, and let's win some championships. Thank you all. God bless.
Well, he definitely came in strong, but
I mean, most of his attention was paid on Robbie Mills as the choice, as if no one wanted to work with Daniel. That's just not true.
The bills he did. Yeah, let's talk about the number of bills he didn't sign that got vetoed, that overrid him, that actually helped teachers.
Yeah, I mean,
and schools.
I'm doing some research on that now for an article in one of our papers.
Yeah.
To discuss exactly what those bills were, and what was vetoed. So I'm hoping to have that out in our first paper.
Absolutely.
And we'll see how it looks.
Of every time he had an election. He was elected to United States Senate November 6, 1984. Took office January 3rd, 1985. One of the first things he asked to do was to serve on the Senate Agriculture Committee, because he recognized how important agriculture was to Kentucky, farmers and agribusiness. And to this day, he continues to serve in that role, as well as the Appropriations Committee, in addition to being leader. But also, one of the things he did when he went to the United States Senate, he introduced the 1985 Farm Bill. And that helped put him and the Conference Committee to have an influence on Kentucky's future as we try to feed ourselves in the rest of the world. And we appreciate that leadership that's been consistent through that time. He's been elected. He's the longest serving Kentucky senator we've had. His last election, again, carried 117 of Kentucky's 120 counties. He continues to be recognized by Time Magazine as the 100 most influential people in the world. I've had the opportunity to watch him up close. I've watched him with tobacco buyouts. I watched him deal with key budget issues. I watched him deal with many things important to the Commonwealth that many people said that can't happen, but he would bring it home. And I say that affectionately many times. That's just another McConnell miracle. So that we want to say thank you. He has with him today his wife, Secretary Elaine Chao, in her own right, a tremendous leader. She served as Secretary of Transportation. She's also served 8 years as Secretary of Labor. Also ran the Peace Corps and other nonprofits nationally. So please make welcome to the podium Senator Mitch McConnell, leader of the United States Senate.
Okay.
Looking a little older now, and a little more war.
I just told.
Let's bring it down.
I just told David Beck his introduction is longer than my speech. Elaine and I are really excited to be back at Fancy Farm on behalf of the strongest Republican team we've ever run in our state. For those of you who keep count, this is my 28th Fancy Farm. My 28th Fancy Farm. I want to thank Father Venters and Stephen Elder for finding a way to keep Fancy Farm going, even with pork prices going through the roof. Thanks to the Kentucky State Police and local law enforcement who are keeping folks safe this weekend. Now, here's the challenge for the police. Here's the challenge for the police. With the shutdown governor in charge, I'm sure state troopers are just glad to be on church property without having to tag license plates. My friends, I'll be honest, it's not hard for Republicans to look good these days. We're up against the folks who gave you record high inflation. We're up against folks who closed schools and then told you that teachers unions know what's best for your kids. We're up against folks who'd rather let repeat offenders walk free than get tough on crime. I'm glad Governor Beshear finally decided to come to Fancy Farm. It's been the first Saturday in August for 143 years. But Andy only seems to make time for you all when he's staring down Election Day. Friends, I know a little something about beating Beshears. And let me tell you, Andy makes his dad look like a Republican.
A lot of truth.
Yeah.
Steve Beshear, his dad, thought woke was what he did from his nightmare Senate race in 1996. But Andy, he speaks liberal with a California accent. So make no mistake, Biden and Beshear are as thick as thieves, and not just because they want to rob you blind in taxes. But don't take my word for it. Let's just look at Andy's record. He closed down businesses and schools while keeping liquor stores open. He shut down churches and sent state troopers to harass the faithful on Easter Sunday. And he's forcing the woke agenda on students and teachers. And might as well be running for mayor of San Francisco. Now, it's a good thing we have a Republican General Assembly keeping the governor in check, and fighters like Jamie Comer and Rand Paul in Washington holding Biden accountable. And in the Senate, I'm working to make sure Kentucky punches above its weight. I fought for millions to rebuild East and West Kentucky after disaster struck. And I'm making sure our heroes in law enforcement get what they need to crack down on crime and plug the holes in Biden's open borders. When we send a united Republican government to Frankfurt this fall, we can finally put a stop to the defund the police movement. We can make sure our farmers and coal miners are taken care of. And we can help the middle-class families who are struggling in the Biden-Beshear economy. So this November, remember who gives Andy his marching orders. It's Biden and the same radical Democrats who want to weaken our troops, ban our gas stove, and turn the country into a socialist nation. Biden and Beshear aren't working for Kentucky. Andy might as well be on the White House payroll, and it's high time he was honest about it. But Kentuckians won't fall for it. We want someone who fights for us and our values. So let's give the shutdown governor a taste of his own medicine and vote Republican this fall.
That's well done. I think he did a great job there. There was no delay in his speech today. And he definitely represented the GOP in a way that definitely gets us some recognition for the hard work that's going on in Kentucky.
You know, there's a lot of people who don't care much for Mitch McConnell these days, even on the Republican side. But you have to at least give him his due for the things he has. He's brought a lot back to Kentucky.
Absolutely.
As he said, like to say,
their MC's coming back up again.
He ensures that that Kentucky punches above their weight, and there's a lot to be said for that. Kentucky is overall a small state, and as far as population and such. And you know, he's helped bring a lot of things. Fort Knox has flourished because of a lot of the things that he's worked on in the Senate, and as well as Brett Guthrie and the House, and Jamie Comer in the House, and of course Rand Paul.
Yeah, I think he's bringing up Comer now.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you. Thank you. greatest political tradition in the history of Kentucky, the Fancy Farm Picnic. This political speaking is always a big deal for all of West Kentucky. And for this great condition to continue, we must have participation from both political parties. And I want to thank all the candidates on the stage today for participating. That's what this political speaking is all about. Before I get to my remarks, which are mainly about my work in Washington, let me say publicly two important things. First of all, I want to thank Senator Mitch McConnell for the close working relationship that he and I have. We work together on every federal issue affecting West Kentucky, from the uranium deactivation project in Paducah to the farm bill right here in the Purchase area. Mitch McConnell always fights for West Kentucky. And second, I want to say this publicly and enthusiastically. I am proud to endorse this entire Republican ticket this November, especially our next governor, Daniel Cameron.
That was a good move.
Yeah, I think there were some.
Now, some of you may have heard, depending on where you get your news, that I'm leading a little investigation in Washington, D.C.
Kelly Craft in the primary.
At the end of January 2023, I became chairman of the House Oversight Committee. And the four biggest newspapers in America have written extensively on our investigation. Those newspapers are the New York Post, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal. In fact, they've written over 250 articles about our investigation. Now, so usually they didn't start off right, but once the Oversight Committee stepped in, then the narrative changed. If you get your news in Kentucky from the four biggest newspapers in Kentucky, you've read a total of 0 stories about that investigation. So just in case you get your news from the newspapers in Kentucky, let me fill you in on a little timeline of what's happened with our investigation. In January, the media narrative was that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. But my Oversight Committee worked with CBS News and other credible news outlets on a forensic audit to prove that it was real. In February, the media narrative was that no Biden ever took money from China, our biggest enemy on the planet. But my Oversight Committee subpoenaed bank records that showed the Bidens received a $3 million wire from China that went to 3 or 4 different Biden family members. In March, I was fighting to get access to the suspicious activity reports, which are bank violations in the Treasury cabinet. But the media narrative was, oh, that's not important. There's nothing to see here. Everybody gets the suspicious activity reports. And by the way, I would say that not a single person under this pavilion has ever gotten a suspicious activity report. But my Oversight Committee was granted access to Treasury. We found 170 and counting suspicious activity reports by the Bidens. And this is what we found. We found more bank violations, more fake companies, more illegal wire transfers, and more Bidens who were taking money from our enemies. In fact, 6 more Biden family members have been taking money from our enemies around the world, including the president's teenage granddaughter. Now that's kind of a little hard to explain. In April, the media narrative was that Joe Biden's family never took money while he was vice president. But my Oversight Committee proved that to be wrong when we released a bank memo showing multiple wires to family members, including 16 from a Romanian foreign national, just days after the vice president left Romania in Air Force 2. In May, I did a Fox interview where I said that we were communicating with multiple whistleblowers. But the media narrative was that I was lying. There are no whistleblowers. You all probably took that hook, line, and sinker. But hopefully everyone saw the IRS whistleblower hearing and saw the great testimony. And hopefully you read about the FBI 1023 form that showed the president allegedly took a bribe. In June, there was a plea agreement with the president's son, and our oversight committee cried foul. In July, the media accurately reported that the judge rejected the plea deal, but what the media didn't report was that the judge cited much of the work that our investigation in the oversight committee has revealed. And in August, after our deposition with Devin Archer, the media said, when it was made public that the president talked to all of these people that were sending the Bidens money, even though he said for 20 years he hasn't, that it was only about the weather. Now let me tell you, we have our differences, but one thing we can agree on is we are against public corruption. I will continue to fight for the taxpayers. I can continue to fight for the American people. We're going to bring the truth out there. Thank you. May God bless Kentucky.
Comer.
Jamie Comer brought it.
Listen, that's news. I mean, if you're not watching right here, that was a complete rundown of the entire investigation all the way up to now.
It was
to
a
even stop.
great summary.
Yeah, that judge would be criminal if he didn't listen to the evidence.
Now we're going to have our candidates for Lieutenant Governor. If they'll come forward.
All right, this ought to be interesting. All right.
The senator wins the turquoise, and he'll be going first. He served in the House Representative one term, and then was elected to Kentucky Senate. He's a small business owner in Henderson. He got his college degree at Oral Roberts University. And also, he's been very active in serving as chair of the State Government Local Government Committee. And also, Committee dealing with tourism and economic development. He and his wife, Vicki, as I said, reside in Henderson, and he'll be going first.
We go first.
Well, thank you, Graves County. Good to be here. It is truly an honor to stand on this stage as the Republican candidate for Lieutenant Governor. With my good friend Daniel Cameron, we're going to win this election and put Kentucky back on the right track. The Cameron-Mills administration will fight for all Kentuckians, not just a few favored ones or campaign donors.
You might not get the
we
reference.
will back the blue and protect our Kentucky families. We will work with the General Assembly to invest in infrastructure, to overcome learning loss, and to make Kentucky the very best place to live and
I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but I caught it.
Well, it's good to see Governor Beshear here today. It's nice to meet you, Governor, outside of a press conference. You may not know who I am, Governor, but I'm a legislator from the Kentucky General Assembly. You know, that co-equal branch of government. We actually work in the same building with you, but you never stop by to see us. You spent 4 years holed up in your office refusing to work with any of us on anything. And it is truly a shame, Governor, because the Republicans in the General Assembly are determined to deliver for Kentucky. We are helping families make ends meet. We're investing in infrastructure, schools, and our workforce. We're standing strong for our Kentucky values and the most vulnerable. You know, I really don't think Governor Beshear wants us to know what goes on in his office. The only time we ever hear from him is in a veto message.
She's getting
and
ready.
We don't know how those
she's
end,
definitely
don't we?
thinking about what she's got to say.
Kentucky Republicans have passed historic tax
It's like she's in the corner of the ring ready to come out to fight.
In your pocket. Andy Beshear vetoed that. We passed a bill to secure
Few
Kentucky
encouraging words
elections
from her husband
and
before she
require
goes on.
photo
Yeah.
ID to
Right the
vote.
eyes.
And what did he do? He vetoed it. I led to keep boys out of girls' sports, and guess what? Andy Beshear vetoed it. We fought this year to protect children, Kentucky children, from life-altering drugs and sex change surgeries, and Andy Beshear vetoed that. He even celebrated in the Capitol with an anti-Christian hate group called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Come to think of it, Governor, I don't think we'd get along at all. Good thing you'll be retiring soon. This November, let's send Kentucky in a new direction with Daniel Cameron. Daniel has courageously fought for our laws and our values every day as Attorney General. He's gone all the way to the Supreme Court, and he's won, folks. Daniel Cameron will be a governor for all 120 counties. He asked me to join this ticket to be your voice in Western Kentucky. Once elected, I'll be the only constitutional officer who lives west of I-65. I promise you this, folks. I'll give Fancy Farm and Henderson and all these other wonderful communities in Western Kentucky a seat at the table. We'll repair the damage of Andy Beshear. We'll tackle the tough challenges facing Kentucky, and we'll secure Kentucky's future. Help us this November, folks. Vote Cameron Mills, your ticket for a better Kentucky. Thank you.
Wow, well done.
Yeah, that was another on the point.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he attacked the governor.
Yep.
And not the lieutenant governor.
That's where they need to go. He needs to stay on the.
Stay on point.
That's
Don't drive down the road of the.
Now we'll hear from the Lieutenant Governor.
The Lieutenant Governor. This is about the governor.
We'll get started.
Right.
Both the governor and the lieutenant governor.
We'll get started.
Are about the governor. It's
absolutely.
Lieutenant Governor, a lifelong Kentuckian from Mercer County, Kentucky. She's serving her first term of elected office as Lieutenant Governor. Mercer County is where she's from. She's an educator. She's a writer. She started a nonprofit. And her family owned and operated a family business for 5 generations there in Mercer County. She and her husband, Chris, reside in Frankfort, and she's the mom. Lieutenant Governor, Jacqueline Coleman.
Hello, Fancy Farm, and thank you to St. Jerome's Parish for keeping this tradition going for 143 years. And a special welcome to Frankfort's Congressman, Jamie Comer. Thanks for making the trip to West Kentucky, Congressman. Now, we know this is an election year because this side is dusting off Matt Bevin's old playbook, and he is attacking our schools again. But let me tell you something, Fancy Farm. It didn't work then, and it is not going to work now. It is surreal to think that we were here just a few years ago fighting Bevin's illegal pension cuts. Now, let me remind you, Daniel Cameron said he would have defended those illegal pension cuts, breaking that promise to our law enforcement, our social workers, and our teachers.
Exactly what she's talking
but don't
about
worry,
with these
Daniel,
pension cuts.
as you distance yourself from this former governor, I hear you're in good company. As his former running mate, Robbie Mills, it wasn't enough for their sewer bill that lost unanimously in court. Robbie wanted a special session to try to ram it through again. Just think about that. 7 no's, 0 yeses. Sounds like Lieutenant Governor speed dating with Daniel Cameron. Now, Daniel wants you to ignore record job creation and a roaring economy and vote for him instead. But all he has to offer you is sending your tax dollars from Graves County and Mayfield Mayfield Public Schools all the way to all those private schools in Lexington and Louisville. Well, I say we reject Daniel's offer just as fast as Ryan Quarles did. There is no doubt that Kentucky is a better place because of Andy's leadership and our Education First administration. Andy has delivered record job creation, historic economic investments, the largest budget surplus in Kentucky's history. And you know what that means? We've got more than enough money to give these hardworking teachers the raise they deserve. Now, we accomplished all of that while showing up for our neighbors, because that is leadership. It's not about fanning the flames of all the cable news culture wars. It is about putting politics aside and showing up for people. That's exactly what Andy has done. But he had a great example in his dad, Governor Steve Beshear. Now, before you start in on their family, let me just say, I'd rather be Steve Beshear's son than Mitch McConnell's puppet. Thank you, Fancy Farm.
Well, all right, she went with knives and cut.
Now we'll have the candidates for Attorney General. They will come forward for the coin toss.
Well, that stirred the pot a little bit, didn't it?
I thought she did well, and I don't.
So is she the one running the governor's office, or is he running it? Because she put on a stronger presence than Beshear did. All right, she chose him to go first. She wants a cleanup.
Russell Coleman won the coin toss.
He's
seeking the office
with
of
that.
Attorney General. A West Kentuckian, he was born in Paducah. He lived in Graves County, as well as Logan County, Davis counties. He served 53 counties in Western Kentucky as a U.S. Attorney for the Western District. As a chief law enforcement officer in that part of the state, including Jefferson County, I've watched him work with the GLI and various nonprofits and try to make a difference as it relates to drug and criminal activity in urban areas. He also has practiced law in Louisville. He and his wife, Ashley, they have 3 children and live in Oldham County. Welcome to the podium, Russell Coleman.
Thank you, Fancy Farm. My wife and I are so grateful to be here. I tell you, speaking from this stage behind this podium has been a dream of mine since I was a boy, standing there at the pits, driving over from Mayfield for the barbecue. I'm so grateful for the warm hospitality of St. Jerome's Parish and all the hard work that went into making this a reality. And folks, please join me in thanking those that'll be out here protecting us long after we're in our beds tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the Graves County Sheriff's Office, John Hayden, his deputies, the Kentucky State Police, and every one of our law enforcement heroes. I was born in Paducah. As my dad's factory jobs took us all over this state, Mayfield was our family's home base. Both sets of grandparents lived right here in Graves County. So it's a real treat, friends, a real treat to welcome my Grandma Betty here from Mayfield. Well, hold on. That is, if she came in from the bingo tables. Oh. After graduating from UK Law School, I spent many hours, a lot of hours, before the tornado took it in what was the Graves County Courthouse, studying for the Kentucky bar exam. Well, hold on a minute, Representative Stevenson. Let me tell you, the Kentucky bar exam is a test you take to practice law here in Kentucky. Jokes aside, I'm running for the very serious purpose of protecting your family and mine from violent crime, from the deadly drugs that we're seeing dumping into our communities, and from the radical overreach of the Biden administration in Washington, D.C. Friends, I am running to back the blue. I have worn a badge and I have carried a gun as a street agent. I have been a state prosecutor, and I have been the chief federal prosecutor appointed by the President of the United States. I've raised my hand to serve overseas in a combat zone to protect this country from its enemies. This picnic is a celebration of conservative Kentucky values. But the Democrat Party, led by Governor Beshear and President Biden, has abandoned those values. Why else would Governor Beshear keep our schools closed and fail our students? And Governor, it is not getting the job done to let our kids' mental health crater and juvenile violence increase. Why else would Governor Beshear pardon so many violent offenders that went on to reoffend and hurt Kentucky families? And why else, friends, would Governor Beshear recruit a candidate for Attorney General who couldn't even legally practice law in our Commonwealth? That's right. My opponent doesn't even have a Kentucky law license. This November, you'll have a clear choice between someone from Kentucky law enforcement, supported by Kentucky law enforcement, to include an endorsement from the Kentucky State Police, and, well, a Hoosier lawyer. What an incredible ticket, led by Daniel Cameron. He is a once-in-a-generation leader. It is such an honor to serve on this ticket. Together, friends, we will protect Kentucky families. We will make Kentucky safe again. Thank you, and may God protect the men and women of Kentucky law enforcement and the people of our Commonwealth.
Nice job.
Yeah.
From an Attorney General perspective, that was really good, I thought.
It was. He hit Attorney General points. Still got his stabs in on
but he held the governor accountable.
Next, we'll hear from our... You start, we'll introduce the next speaker. The next speaker is Representative Pamela Stevens. She's taking position of Attorney General. She's serving her first term in the Kentucky General Assembly. She served 27 years in the military as a Judge Advocate General for the U.S. Air Force, retiring with the rank of Colonel. She's known for her passionate speeches, and I've teased her that after she gets done speaking, I like to pass the hat sometimes. But she is a minister, associate pastor at Oak Grove Missionary Baptist Church in Louisville, Kentucky. She and her husband have 2 children. Welcome to the podium, Representative Stevens.
for hosting us and for letting the little radicals participate. It's so good to be here today because I get to hear my opponent tell jokes. Based on his speeches, I didn't know he knew how to tell a joke. I am Colonel Pam Stevenson. Let me tell you a little bit about me. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a lot. Born and raised in Louisville. My grandparents had 15 children. I started a church where I am an ordained minister. I've been married for 41 years and I got 2 children. My family has lived in Kentucky for generations. I am Kentucky's daughter. They call me Colonel Pam because I served 27 years in the United States Air Force and retired as a colonel. So since I didn't have Mitch McConnell's help, I had to do it like most women do it. I earned it. I took on the toughest jobs. I was the chief prosecutor. I helped thousands of families. I worked with the State Department. I partnered with law enforcement. I litigated hundreds of cases. Croatia. I worked with the United Nations. I assisted the 9/11 Commission, and I deployed to the Middle East. And that was all on a Monday. Now I know these boys have been trying to make a big ado about my bar status. But I would too if I had to compete against my resume. Lord knows, and I know the Lord, that some of these boys wouldn't even make it out of boot camp. So, let's be real, Kentucky. I may not be the most exciting candidate. I quilt. I like to go to bed early, and I'm not so tall, but I'm still miles more interesting than my opponent. He's so boring, he makes Daniel Cameron seem like a real attorney. All jokes aside, I have fulfilled every requirement in the Constitution 5 times over. In nearly 40 years of law practice, I am more qualified than the man who currently holds the job. And I'm more qualified than the man that wants the job. The only requirement I seem to be missing is I've never been Mitch McConnell's sidekick, his attorney. I ask you to join me. Living, making Kentucky great. Duty, honor, Kentucky. Thank you, Fancy Farm.
Well, for a small person on the stage, she had a big voice.
Absolutely.
I thought she did a great job. It's going to be tough.
She was sassy too.
A little bit sassy.
But now we'll get started. We've got a few more to go.
A lot more.
Mike Harmon, state auditor, is next. He's serving his second term as state auditor.
I hope we get
Prior
a
to
new
that,
joke.
He was in the Kentucky General Assembly.
I hope we get a new starting joke from
He and his
Mike.
wife Lynn have 2 daughters
Well,
and 2
we've heard several
grandchildren.
of his, so
grandsons. Mike, you make
well,
the
we've heard a
podium?
few many times.
Well, it is great to be back here at Fancy Farm, and I want to thank everyone at St. Jerome's Parish who's worked so hard to put on this event.
Yes, they
I'm
have.
honored to be in my 8th year serving as your Kentucky State Auditor, and I've made it a point to attend every Fancy Farm I've been invited to.
Yes, sir.
Sadly, this will be my last year as auditor, but I want to thank each and every one of you here and in Kentucky who's given me the honor to stand before you on the stage and to serve this great Commonwealth. Now, one of my favorite things about Fancy Farm is joke telling, even if it's dad jokes, or in my case, granddad jokes. And this year's theme is, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. All right, are we ready?
Let's go.
If you think sin is abhorrent, but the only thing that is a sin is voting Republican, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. If you've ever called someone a science denier, but then can't define what a woman is, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. If the only hunter you think should have a gun
can't do nothing about
is
it.
Hunter Biden, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. If you think shutting down a church will save a life, but shutting down an abortion clinic, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. If your ideal of good public policy is taking credit for other people's work, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. If you want to sell a combined pack of Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head parts and call the toy gender-neutral Potato Head, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. If you think communicating with the General Assembly is putting their number on the do not call list, you might be a Bashir Biden Democrat. And sadly, if you've ever vetoed a bill protecting children from mutilation and teachers from being bullied by Education Commissioner, you are definitely a Bashir. As I close, please don't be deceived. There's only one party that wants to protect your children's innocence, protect your safety, and protect your Kentucky family values, and that's the Republican Party. And I look forward to our next governor, Daniel Cameron, and the entire Republican slate defending the beliefs that Kentuckians and I hold so dear. Thank you, God bless, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, closed it out strong.
That is it's a typical Mike Harmon joke, but it's
in humor, but it was a moneymaker. It was a moneymaker.
Yeah.
You can't argue against any of those.
No, you can't.
It's like the fact checker of. Anyway.
Now I'm going to invite the candidates for State Auditor to the podium. Allison Ball and Kim Reeder.
Little coin flip action going on.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, there we go. Allison Ball, the firecracker. I don't know, this coin toss, I hope she goes second, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Because she comes in like with a, I don't know. Let's see what they got.
All right, I'll go first.
Oh, she's going first. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's go, Allison.
Allison Ball won the coin toss, and she's now in her second term
every
as
time.
Kentucky State Treasurer, first elected in 2015. She's a Floyd County native. She received her law degree from the University of Kentucky. She started her first business at the age of 9 and has practiced law as well as serving. She and her husband, Dr. Asa Swan, they have 2 children. And please make welcome podium, Allison Ball.
There you go.
I'm Allison Ball, and I am proud to be your state treasurer right now, and I am on the ballot to be your next Kentucky State Auditor. And as some of you know, as treasurer, I made Kentucky history when I became the first constitutional officer to give birth while serving in office. Now, like many parents, what I watch on TV is what my kids watch on TV. So these days, it includes a lot of Sesame Street. Now, Marigold and her big brother Levi love Sesame Street, and one of their favorite things to do is to count with Count Von Count. So over the last few weeks, as I've been counting with my kids, I had this sudden realization that Democrats have a numbers problem. And I'm not just talking about the fact that they have the fewest elected Democrats in Kentucky history, or that they have the smallest percentage of Kentuckians registered to vote in Kentucky history. I am talking about all of it. Think about it. The only numbers that my Democrat opponent thinks about are her donation dollars from California and New York. The only numbers that Jacqueline Coleman thinks about during a pandemic are the phone numbers of her hairdressers. Bashir's numbers on jobs, teachers, and the homicide rate are way off the mark. And Joe Biden can't remember how many grandkids he has. But in all seriousness, the Democrats' trouble with numbers are causing us real problems. Biden economics is causing inflation to skyrocket. And Andy Bashir is more interested in counting license plates numbers than figuring out how many foster kids are sleeping on the floor of office buildings or how many juveniles are suffering in juvenile detention centers. These are serious problems to have. This Republican ticket, on the other hand, is the only one with the numbers to make Kentucky great again. We've lowered your taxes, we've created jobs. As state treasurer, I have made sure that all 171 school districts have resources to teach financial literacy to the next generation. I've returned $170 million of unclaimed property. I've helped Kentuckians with disabilities save nearly $12 million of their own money. And I'm really proud of this one. I have fought against the ESG movement, or as I like to call it, the Extreme Shortages Guaranteed movement. Now, if you don't know a lot about this, look at Germany. In Germany, where ESG is standard practice, people are burning candles to heat their houses and light their houses. And the government is counting how many showers that you take. I am not making this up. They're even going so far as to tell you need to become more body odor tolerant. Now, that just stinks. I am running to be your next state auditor because I know we need to keep up the fight that Auditor Harmon started to follow the data and protect Kentucky taxpayer dollars. After 8 years in office, I've shown that I don't have a numbers problem. I've proudly watched over your taxpayer dollars to make sure that when they're spent right. And now I'm asking you to give me the chance to make sure that after those taxpayer dollars are spent, there's no funny business like when Andy Beshear sent tornado relief funds to the wrong people. Republicans have shown that we are ready to lead. Now listen to these numbers. We have 80 out of 100 House seats, 31 of 38 Senate seats, and more than 90 of 120 judge executives. This November, take a look and see what other voters see everywhere. Republicans have the numbers on our side, not because we're making up numbers like Andy Beshear's job numbers, but because Republicans are in office, the economy goes up, and so does your paycheck. Thank you very much.
I always like to hear from Allison.
She's a good speaker and not articulate, and she's punctual with fact.
Yeah.
You can't argue numbers.
She's a great auditor.
You can't argue numbers.
Kim Reeder is the candidate also for state auditor. She grew up in Round County. She received her degree in political science from Yale University, a master's in public policy from Duke University, and a law degree from the University of North Carolina. In 2011, she was recognized as one of the top 10 tax attorneys in North America. Please put on the podium, Kim Reeder.
Well, let's see what we got.
Hello, Fancy Farm. I'm Kim Reeder, and I am honored and excited to be a part of this important event in Kentucky. I was born and raised in Round County in eastern Kentucky. And like many Kentucky families, my family didn't have a lot when I was growing up. My dad poured concrete and raised cattle. My mom canned vegetables just to make sure we had enough to eat. I learned to work hard from them then. And I learned something else from my mom. I learned from her that the path to a better life would be through education. And after I graduated from Round County High School, I went on to earn degrees at Yale, Duke, and the University of North Carolina Law School. And I wasn't done then. I've spent 20 years building a successful tax practice. I was named one of the top tax attorneys in the country.
Oh, she's demanding, like.
Yeah.
But
do you know who I am?
Professional success really didn't seem to matter as much.
She
when
seems
my
angry.
mother
I
was
know, it looks angry.
diagnosed
I don't like
with
that
an
angry.
early onset form of dementia. And so, I raised my hand to help her. And in 2014, my daughter Ansley and I moved back to Moorhead to be able to be with my mother in the last year of her life. After she passed away, I continued to raise my hand.
I don't know. I don't like that anger.
At a local high school, teaching communications.
She's trying to smile, but it's like.
5 years in the Governor's Scholars Program.
I don't know. That's weird.
And now, I've raised my hand to run for auditor because my educational and professional credentials make me exceptionally qualified for this job.
Oh, I don't even like that smile or look.
I am not
Hold on,
just
let me
a
see if I can
career
mimic it.
politician trying to get another political job.
I don't know. Can't do that.
I'm a professional who wants to use my skills, my intellect, and my decades of experience to work for Kentucky.
She seems a bit.
On that, we have a 1993 RV. It doesn't have air conditioning, but we're getting you. Thank you, Fancy Farm. Thank you, Jerome's Parish. Thank you.
I got to tell you,
I think she's a little nervous.
I do think she's got. I mean, obviously, you can't knock a Yale education
she's got the chops, right?
yeah,
She's got the chops
no
for the-
doubt.
for the
but it
job.
just.
I mean,
We're
Allison
ready
is.
for candidates for Secretary of State.
Allison seems approachable. That seemed not approachable.
Michael Adams will come
I think if you're going to have a bipartisan, even if you're going to run and say you win with the votes, you need to be able to be approachable. That did
Yeah.
not feel approachable. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Got the flip. So far so good. I mean, I haven't seen anything thrown. I do feel like the Democrats are over here abusing the noisemakers.
I hear noisemakers,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not.
I don't know. We'll see.
It could be worse. I mean,
Yeah.
Charles Buddy Wheatley won the coin toss, so we'll go with him first.
All right.
That's the first.
He was
I think
born
the
in
first Democrat to go
Kentucky,
first,
a
right?
former member of the House
That's
of
right.
Representatives, elected in 2018. Got his journalism degree from the University of Kentucky, English degree from Northern Kentucky University, as well as his law working. He's worked with labor law and employment law, and he's also been the chief fire chief for the city of Cummington and telecommunications specialist for FedEx. And he and his wife, Judy, have 2 children. Welcome to the podium.
All right, thanks Jerome, and thank you Fancy Farm. We're honored to be here today, and I'm honored to be back here in Western Kentucky. For some of you who don't know me already, I am a 4th generation firefighter and retired fire chief. I know a thing or two about working in the heat and working under pressure. The only heat that Michael Adams is aware of is his own hot air. My family has been in Kentucky for 150 years. Public service was imbued in me from a young age, and I have known the value of working hard and giving back to your community. That's the value I will carry with me to the Secretary of State's office. Thank you. We are lucky to live in the most beautiful state in the country, and thanks to Governor Andy Beshear, we are seeing record job growth, record investment in our schools, improvements in our infrastructure. He is moving Kentucky forward into the future. But sadly, we are in a very important way falling behind, and that's how we run our elections. And Michael Adams is the reason. He wants to make it harder to vote, not easier for Kentuckians. That's why he took away so many of our polling locations in the 2022 election, leading to the lowest voter turnout in 30 years.
Actually, he cleaned up the voter rolls.
He said he wants to cut down on voter fraud, but then he wants to pull us out of ERIC, a bipartisan national voter protection program. Here's what I'm going to do as Secretary of State. Give Kentuckians 2 full weeks of early voting. Keep our polls open until 7 p.m. on Election Day, as our Constitution permits. And yes, help ensure that the victims of natural disasters like our floods and disastrous tornadoes are given their constitutional right to vote. And here's another thing. When I'm Secretary of State, it will be my only job. Kentuckians are paying Michael Adams to work for them in Frankfort, but we know that he continues to moonlight as a law partner in an elections firm that represents election deniers and some of the worst politicians this country has ever seen. Hey, sometime Google the name Eric Greitens. You're going to see why he was forced to resign as governor of Missouri. That's the kind of people that Michael Adams has been representing when he should have been working for you. When you're a firefighter responding to the call, it doesn't matter if the folks in danger are Democrats or Republicans or independents. It's your job to help everyone. That's the attitude I will bring with me to Secretary of State. Every citizen deserves fair access to the polls, and and secure, convenient ways to cast their vote. I'll be a Secretary of State for all
I noticed he doesn't
Kentuckians,
say anything
regardless
about
of party.
making sure you're an eligible voter.
And I'll defend our democracy from anyone or anything that threatens it. Together, we can be the voice and we can make sure that every vote counts. I won't back down. Thank you, Fancy Farm. Thank you,
in
St.
Kentucky,
Jerome.
he made a statement about keeping the polls open until 7 p.m. versus the 6 p.m. But in Kentucky, if you're in line at 6 p.m.,
is that just to give them
open.
more time to farm ballots?
I don't know. I don't know what. I mean,
one week isn't enough time to get.
I've never heard a complaint on that.
Michael Adams. Michael grew up in Paducah, Kentucky, and he's serving in his first term as the Secretary of State. Elected in 2019, he graduated from the University of Louisville and then Harvard Law School, returning to Kentucky to clerk for U.S. Chief Justice Judge John Hayburn. He worked for Senator McConnell's re-election campaign staff and also was Deputy General Counsel for Governor Ernie Fletcher before accepting a position in D.C. as U.S. Deputy Attorney General under the second Bush administration. In 2007, he came back and started practicing law, election law, and then he was elected Secretary of State. He is married to Christina, and they have one child. Please welcome to the podium our Secretary of State, Michael Adams.
All right, so Michael Adams is coming up.
Hello, Fancy Farm. Let me start by welcoming the Democratic ticket to Graves County. It's been tough times for the Democrats lately.
The Democrats have already left.
Under Governor Beshear, they've lost 150,000 registered voters. The Democratic Party is losing customers faster than Bud Light. My opponent is not faring any better. In the polls, he's only getting 24%. In third place, behind undecided. But for the first time, he's relieved to see a number above 0.08%.
Wow.
As your Secretary of State, I'm proud to tell you that we've helped usher into being over 100,000 Kentucky businesses. We've taken strong action to protect survivors of domestic violence. And yes, we've improved election integrity in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We've required a photo ID to vote. We've cleaned up our voter rolls, and so much more. 2 months after I took office, COVID hit. Other states' elections collapsed. Polls were closed with no notice. Ballots were lost. Voters crowded into long lines and got sick with coronavirus. But under my leadership in 2020, Kentucky was the first state to successfully conduct an election in a pandemic. Coming out of the election, I faced a challenge. I wanted to permanently improve our elections with more voting days and even better security. No one thought I could do it. But when I faced that challenge, I said what Buddy Wheatley never says, hold my beer. Working in good faith with both sides of the aisle, I produced the biggest reform of our election since the 1850s. And every year of my term, I've passed a bipartisan bill to make your voting experience better. So how does my opponent compare? When he filed to run for this office, he couldn't even fill out the one-page form correctly. He forgot to put down the office he was running for. Oops. In the legislature, he voted against my photo ID to vote bill. He voted against transition to paper ballots. He voted against expanding our audit process. He even voted against letting the governor and me work together to save the 2020 election in Kentucky. If he'd been Secretary of State in 2020, we wouldn't have known who was voting in our elections until they checked into the hospital with COVID. The only thing worse than his legislative record is his driving record. He stood proudly with the prior Secretary of State, despite all the scandals she brought to this office and all the embarrassment she brought to our state. I've been willing to stand up to my party on occasion, but he has not. slavishly voting with his party on every issue and refusing to call out
And
their
notice the
corruption.
lieutenant governor and the governor are no longer in the background during this part.
Flees the
They
scene.
left right after.
And he spoke. That's right, because they don't want to face these numbers and be on camera.
He's a nice guy, but the last 4 years have shown we need a strong leader in this office, not a well-meaning bumbler. If you want integrity in the Secretary of State's office, if you want to continue on the path of progress that's taking Kentucky from the bottom elections to the top, if you want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat, then vote for Michael Adams. Again, for Secretary of State. Thank you so much, Kentucky. Thank you.
You know, he doesn't talk about this much, but I think he's done a really good job on making it easier for businesses to get registered and to check for their taxes with the one stop and all that. And it continues to improve that website.
That's right.
I think that's really been helpful
Our next
on our
speaker
business.
is Dr. Ryan Quarles, Commissioner of Agriculture. He's serving his second term as commissioner. Prior to that, he served 2 terms for 4 years in the Kentucky House of Representatives. He's known for his interest and support of agriculture, growing up on his family's 200-acre farm in Scott County and been in the farm for over 200 years. In addition to that, he's known for education. Very committed to that as well. He has 3 undergraduate degrees, I think 2 or 3 master's degrees at the University of Kentucky, including a law degree. He received a master's in higher education from Harvard and a PhD from Vanderbilt. Please welcome to the podium, Commissioner of Agriculture, Dr. Ryan Quarles.
Well, there he is again. Good to see him again.
Fancy Farm.
Good friend of Meade County.
School, I've been coming down to the St. Jerome's picnic.
Big
and
friend for the
today,
farmer.
my fellow Kentuckians,
Been really good for the farmer.
today I'm going to do something that's uncommon, unexpected, and downright rare for Fancy Farm. I'm just going to say a simple thank you, Kentucky. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you the last 13 years in public office. It's been an opportunity of a lifetime to serve you as Commissioner of Agriculture and as a legislator, and I'm here to say we're just getting started. And after over a decade of traveling our beautiful Commonwealth and visiting all 120 counties, something I call completing the 120 proof multiple times, I'm here to tell you just one thing. Kentucky is worth the fighting for. And Kentucky, I'm not done fighting for you. May God bless you, and may God bless the Commonwealth
Potential
of
senator
Kentucky.
run
Thank
for
you all
Ole
so
Miss.
much.
Maybe. That's a good way to lead in, but he's going to have to go against Comer standing right there. He did the nod shake. Yep. All right. It's going to be interesting. We'll see.
But Jimmy Comer,
Definitely got a resume.
Next, we're going to
Ryan
have
Quarles is a class act.
Commissioner of
He is.
Agriculture. I'd ask if Jonathan
He's got a heck of a pedigree with all those degrees.
Jonathan Shell won the coin toss.
All right.
A 5th-generation farmer from Garrett County. He was elected to the House of Representatives in 2012, one of the youngest members to ever serve in the General Assembly. Republican leadership tapped him to help recruit across the state, and with that, he had a great deal of success of bringing about a lot of change in the rank and file members of the Kentucky General Assembly. He and his family are very active in their farm. Besides that, he's a very successful businessman. He started a business dealing state solutions and consulting, and he's worked with that. He also worked in Senator McConnell's re-election campaign. He and his wife, Brooke, which I believe is with him here today, they're parents of 4 children. Please make welcome to the podium, Jonathan Shell, candidate for Kentucky Commissioner of Agriculture.
Well, this is a great showing from the GOP again. What a powerhouse.
Thank you, Mr. Beck, and thank you, St. Jerome's. Hello, Fancy Farm! My name is Jonathan Shell, and I'm a 5th-generation farmer, a Christian, and a conservative. I've farmed in Garrett County my whole life. If you name it, I've
probably been in the fields with it. And let me tell you, some of it smells a little better than others. We can say the same thing about Joe Biden's White House. Manure would be putting it lightly. Joe Biden and Andy Beshear out of touch with Kentucky farmers and Kentucky values. Their woke agenda is infecting every aspect of our culture and government. I'm running for Ag Commissioner to put an end to the madness, to stop Biden and save Kentucky. Andy Beshear has failed to protect Kentucky. He sits on his hands as Biden Democrats threaten our way of life. I'm surprised Governor Beshear even showed up to the Catholic Church picnic. I guess he'll have to ask for absolution from the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
That was a nice tag.
Get us into his farewell tour. Don't worry, Governor. No one cares if you skip next year. They usually don't invite former governors. What does Kentucky agriculture mean to me? Food, faith, and family. That's what this picnic is all about. Rural Kentucky needs a fighter in Frankfort with the experience to lead and the backbone to stand up for our values. Despite Andy Beshear's best efforts, this church is open and this picnic is thriving. Whether you've chosen Kentucky to raise crops or just raise a family, I'll fight for your values every single day. To protect our life from Joe Biden and Andy Beshear and the rest of their radical party, we need leaders who are tough as shell.
I like the ring on that.
I'm so proud to share the stage with Kentucky's last two commissioners. They're champions of Kentucky agriculture, and I look forward to building on their many, many achievements. And just look at this Republican dream team I'll get to work with. Daniel Cameron is an all-star who has beaten Andy Beshear at the court, and he'll beat him at the ballot box.
Yes, sir. See if that happens.
Robbie Mills has delivered for West Kentucky in the legislature, and he'll do the same as Lieutenant Governor. Russell Coleman, Allison Ball, Mike Adams, and my good friend and neighbor from Garrett County, Mark Metcalf. We're common sense conservatives ready to stop Biden and save Kentucky. If we all do our part, knocking doors, making calls, we will stop Biden and save Kentucky. Say it with me one more time. And don't forget the mission. Vote Republican. Stop Biden, save Kentucky, and fire Beshear. Thank you, and God bless.
Look at that crowd. They're going nuts. He's got his wife up there on stage. Full support. And where is Beshear? Beshear is gone.
He stepped out before Michael Adams.
The whole crowd cleared out. This is the unity we'll see from our party.
Which grew up on a multi-generational farm in LaRue County. She received her undergraduate degree in community and leadership development and a master's in agricultural economics from the University of Kentucky. Sarah has focused her career on economic development, working with as a consultant of various communities around the Commonwealth and in lots of different organizations, including Louisville Forward, GLI, the Chamber of Commerce, and Louisville Metro Government. Please welcome Sierra Lynn.
He says she's from Louisville?
Yeah. I don't know how that helps our agriculture.
Farms in Louisville.
Hello, Fancy Farm. I want to thank St. Jerome's Parish for another wonderful picnic and the town of Fancy Farm for hosting us and all of you for showing up here today. My name is Sierra Idlow, and I'm running to be your next Commissioner of Agriculture. Since my early days growing up and setting and cutting tobacco on our fifth-generation family farm in LaRue County, I've been fighting hard for Kentucky agriculture. I attended the University of Kentucky College of Ag and finished my master's degree in agricultural economics while working for Cooperative Extension in the USDA. Since my time at UK, I've worked in economic development and for local campaigns. I've had the honor of visiting Fancy Farm many times over the years and seeing so many familiar faces today, including Dale Dobson, who's
I get the feeling I'm watching a high school
Farm Safety Day
presentation.
As an elementary school student. I still have the T-shirt. And Commissioner Ryan Quarles, who I brought a retirement gift for today. As we know, good wildlife management is public service. And Jonathan, it's even nice to see you on stage today. I was beginning to think that you've actually given up on campaigning, since you've missed at least 4 commissioner forums over the last couple of months. Which this actually shocks me, because I thought after our Farm Bureau Young Farmer days, you'd actually gotten comfortable sharing a stage with me, knowing that you're going to come in second. While you've been absent, we've been making this race about Kentuckians and making sure that they can return home to their family farms. I know firsthand how hard it is to return to your rural community. I had to leave my family farm to gain the career experience that I needed to benefit my community.
They should have started that earlier. They would have rattled her probably.
Benefit the Commonwealth. While Jonathan has been gone, he must have been listening to my speeches, because he started to say that the focus of the Department of Agriculture should be on economic development. And even though he doesn't know what that means, he's right. Whether it's at the farm gate or in the boardroom, I'm the only candidate in this race who has negotiated over $1 billion in investment in Kentucky's communities and has the experience necessary to build an economy that works for all of Kentuckians. This race is about economic development. Shouldn't the people of Kentucky hire an economic developer? As your next Commissioner of Agriculture, I'll be the driver in rolling out medical marijuana and building a sustainable ecosystem around it. We need to get grow operations up and running as quickly as possible. We can't let what happened with hemp, see Jonathan Schell, happen with medical marijuana. Kentucky, unfortunately, has a history of ag commissioners promoting fairy tales. A lot of us have seen this before. If you're a serious farmer, you've seen a few of these tales. We know the stories of these failed crops. We see the agriculture fads come and go, and we see people like Jonathan get fleeced by them every single time. I'll let you all in on something I've known for a long time. When it comes to agriculture, Jonathan Schell lives in a fairy tale. He's always pictured himself as some sort of Prince Charming, but in reality, Jonathan has always been a damsel in distress. Right now, he's hoping that he's saved by a magic dusting of campaign donations by his fairy godmother, Mitch McConnell. We cannot depend on giant pumpkins turning into carriages as our path to success, particularly to take Jonathan to Frankfurt. It's time for a different Commissioner of Agriculture, one who has the lived experience of a family farmer, but also understands the business and service sides of the office. As your next Commissioner of Agriculture, I'll work to build a healthy agricultural economy for all of Kentuckians, not sell fairy tales to Kentucky.
First one got moved off the stage, yeah.
We'll get started with the next speaker. Candidates for State Treasurer, Mark Metcalf and Michael Bowman. I ask if they would come forward to the podium, please.
Now we had him on the show.
Yeah, we had.
He did a good job.
There were three candidates. Or just the two. 'Cause we had, I think we had 3 candidates on at one time.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go with the flip. So looks like
Mark
we're going
Metcalf
first.
won the coin toss. As was mentioned, he's from Gary County, a graduate from Gary County High School. You see both his undergraduate law degrees from the University of Kentucky. He's had a lot of years of experience working on the family farm. He served in the U.S. Army National Guard and also served as a prosecutor. Please welcome to the podium the candidate for State Treasurer, Mark Metcalf.
Thank you for that warm, and I do mean warm, Western Kentucky welcome. I'm Mark Metcalf. I'm running for Kentucky State Treasurer. I'm a small government Republican. I'm a veteran, a Christian, a prosecutor, and a soldier. All the things the Democrats hate. Western Kentucky and Fancy Farm give voters what they really want. Republican majorities and Congressman Jamie Comer. in nearly every Kentucky county. To our Democrat friends, we say thank you and welcome to Fancy Farm and our GOP family reunion. Yes!
Yes. I like that.
That's
The
good.
majorities didn't happen by accident. We had lots of help.
Got lost along the
Our
way.
Democrat friends forgot the small business owner.
That's right.
The miner, the trucker, the carpenter, the bricklayer, the electrician, the policeman, and the working men and women of Kentucky. But most of all, our Democrat friends forgot the family. The Democrats replaced the family with the unreliable green energy. Drag shows, and abortion on demand. This isn't California. This is Kentucky, where God is worshipped, where children born and unborn
Yes, sir.
are loved, where moms and dads work.
I see Daniel Cameron just nodding his head up and down after your comments like that.
Democrats are worried.
You know
and
he's
they
going to
should
fight
be.
that.
My Democrat opponent has proudly declared that he's against the tax cuts passed by the General Assembly. Instead, he supported the governor's veto of tax relief to hard-working Kentucky families. I understand hard work and commitment. I'm a combat veteran of Iraq, and I served as a state and federal prosecutor. I fought terrorism abroad and crime and drug addiction right here at home. As your state treasurer, I promise I'll do this. I'll assure the security and integrity of our tax dollars, and I promise we won't buy one Hunter Biden painting. Kentucky's unclaimed property totals nearly $800 million. Using the latest technology, I'll accelerate the return of these monies to the rightful owners. Financial literacy of our young people is essential. On my watch, children will learn how tough it is to make a buck and how tough it is to save one. I'll end Kentucky's contracts with the woke money managers. The Democrats and the woke left want to weaponize Kentucky's tax dollars and pension funds. The Democrats have put politics over profitable returns for Kentucky's pensioners. On my watch,
Let's hope he finishes on time. That'll be a big boo.
The Democrats and the woke left want to destroy coal by denying investment dollars and credit to the hardest working people on the planet. On my watch, Kentucky will defend the jobs of men and women in the coal fields. Democrats call these same people polluters. They call them eco-terrorists. We Republicans call them the backbone of America.
Finish it strong.
Andy Beshear has issued 110 vetoes. Now it's time for Kentucky to veto Andy Beshear. Thank you.
Good strong finish. He was coming close on the time. He did really good.
Yeah, he got right down to about 10 seconds.
Totally, the dream team is all leaning in. They haven't left. Everybody's still here on the Republican GOP side. And the Democrats have all left the building. It's completely empty on the Democrat side. There is no support for continue.
He worked his way through high school.
They're not unified at all.
Not at all. You're watching it right here. KETV is not going to show you that.
8 in City Hall. Please make welcome to the podium, Michael Bowman, candidate for treasurer.
Good afternoon. Thank you to St. Jerome Parish for once again inviting me here today. It's always great to be here in Western Kentucky. And I'm glad to see that everyone on both sides of the aisle were able to make it. I know how easy it is to get lost on these back roads. Almost as easy as losing a whistleblower. Ask Jamie Comer. I'm sure he'll tell you. On second thought, maybe somebody who needed the General Assembly to gerrymander a map just to make sure his home is in his district isn't the best person to ask directions from. A lot of you know me. And for those who don't, I'm going to help you out. My name is Michael Bowman. I am a 6th generation Kentuckian. And growing up, I learned the important life lessons, like caring for your neighbors and always doing the right things for people. After being a bank officer for one of the largest banks in the country, Governor Beshear and Lieutenant Governor Coleman asked me to join their administration to serve the people of Kentucky by working to expand education and workforce development opportunities across the Commonwealth, ensuring that the next generation of workers in Kentucky are prepared for the economy that we are building. Today, we have an out-of-touch and unhinged Republican legislature actively working to hurt Kentuckians by stripping people of their health care, cutting funding for education, and continuing attempts to destroy the pensions of thousands of teachers and state workers. You will have heard my opponent say things like, we spend too much and save too little. But what he doesn't tell you is that it's his party that controls the purse strings, because he doesn't think you'll pay attention, or that they would refuse to ensure that we don't do business with companies that pollute our environment, disrespect their employees, or have CEOs that fail to hold themselves accountable. That definitely sounds like something from Mitch McConnell's playbook. Wreck the system, get your friends rich at the expense of everyone else, and blame the other guy when people start asking. Although I will have to give Senator McConnell some credit. You may remember on this very stage 4 years ago, I nearly tripped over the leash that the Russians had put around Mitch McConnell's neck. Now, with his support for Ukraine and his sudden concern for democracy, I am very happy to see that the senator has finally said niet and broken free. Maybe that will inspire him to cut the strings off of his puppet, Daniel Cameron. Ladies and gentlemen,
you can see
it's
that
been nearly 40 years since we've elected a treasurer with any professional
I don't see any Democrats. They left.
I know.
I just want to zoom in on that for you, folks.
And what did that get us?
The front row is not there. There's no back row. There's no middle row. There's no row. This is the Republican GOP still here, still going, and still strong. One big unit and unified right here. I'm going to put you in on who your next governor is going to be. You're sitting right there. All you got to do is get out and vote. Right there. That guy is going to get you elected, and he's going to get you voted in. Right there. That guy.
About what is right for Kentucky. A Kentucky that's compassionate, keeps its promises,
not this guy,
and works to build a better future for our
children. We need people who quit talking and start doing.
You to support Andy and the entire Democratic ticket to ensure that we continue to build that Kentucky. And I ask you to support me so that we can hold our leaders accountable, because unlike them, I refuse to stand by and do nothing. My name is Michael Bowman, and I will be the next treasurer of the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Dad, just take it like y'all take everything else. You got to earn it, pal. Nice job. Yep. Oh, that's a little bit. Oh, that's a little bit funky. He just went up there and charged in. Where's your governor, buddy? Let's get that Republican Party up here. Yeah, there they are. Oh, yeah, the dream team. Woo. Now, just to be fair, I'll zoom out. I don't want anybody to be missed, but I just want you to know that the Democrats are not there, Mark. Where are they?
I mean, there's
they're not there.
Four of them are four candidates, but all the support people, everyone's
they're gone. They left. I mean, look at this. Look at your Republican team. I mean, that's a proud picture right there. Good job. Yeah, this is amazing.
I want to say a couple things before I introduce the next speaker. Thank you for participation as candidates, for being here today, and also thank those of you for being in the audience and participating. That's important that we continue this tradition, and I want to say thank you to the media as well for what you do and getting the word out, discussing important issues for all of us as Kentuckians to keep in mind and be familiar with, so thank you for your job. I got to give a commercial. Hope all of you attend this year's Kentucky State Fair, August 17th through the 27th.
There you go.
If you go to our website, kystatefair.org, and plan your days and weeks to come see us and be a part of that. Thank you for being here. Now I want to introduce Stephen Elder, chairman of this event. Stephen, if you make your way back to the podium, thank you.
Yeah, Stephen did such a great job coming
Let's give our MC, David Beck, a round of applause. Thank you, David. And let's give all the candidates a round of applause.
He's done a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming to the 143rd Annual Fancy Farm Picnic. Come back for the 144th, the first Saturday in August. Everyone have a great day. Thank you very much.
All right, that's a
All
show.
right, that's the wrap, guys.
I'm going to tell you, I'm very impressed. I thought this year was much better than last year, not just because we had better audio and quality. Again, the music in the background is music that we are not licensed for. We're not broadcasting that. That is a background music, so that's not us, and we're not in any way trying to do anything.
You can see some commentary on what we heard.
Absolutely.
You can see that the Democrats are not really running on so much substance, but trying to tie Mitch McConnell to the Republicans.
That's it.
They're not running from Mitch McConnell. At the same time, they're their own people, their own run. That's what you heard. And then the Democrats left.
They left.
They left. I mean,
where is the support? And everyone that came up said, I was recruited by Andy Beshear, but Beshear isn't there to back you.
No, he wasn't there.
Where
he
are
was
you?
Gone. And it was just one of those, I was really happy to see the Republicans stand strong and work together and be there. This is another great fancy farm. I'm glad we were able to be here again. I hope that we'll continue to be able to come down here and do this every year and bring it to our folks back in Meade County.
Absolutely.
And we're going to probably call it a day here in a moment, so we can head it back to
all the way back home.
Brandenburg. Yeah,
we did it, Mark. Round two, second annual for us. 140th plus here at Fancy Farm.
Absolutely.
And I tell you what, this is an easier setup. I just thoroughly enjoy this. Folks, if you're not looking in the background, I mean, all these people are scattering, but they're really sticking around to get the food. Just to give you another screenshot of what's up front, all the candidates are up there intermingling and sharing. It's going to be down to your votes. Get out and early vote. You have got to come out.
Absolutely.
You've got to get into the polls, and you've got to make that early vote happen because otherwise the Democrats are going to take advantage of us.
So we get out and vote, guys. Everybody needs to go to the polls. Everybody needs to don't think this is just a throwaway year. You got to go and work and do the due diligence. So
there's my Carmen again.
Yep. So I think we're going to call it a day.
That's it.
And Steve,
great show, buddy.
Great show.
Everybody, have a great night.
Have a great day.
Let's see if I bring this out right. Here we go.
All
Coming
right.
in on that. You've been listening to the Mead Truth. The music you listen to during this show is not an endorsement by us, and nor do we have the rights. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.